Welcome back. We're here with Representative Karen Bass. Sunny.
Yes, Congresswoman, you wrote the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act that was passed in the House but is now stalled in the Senate. Senate Democrats rejected the Republican police reform bill that was written by Senator Tim Scott. We've seen protests across this country for the past month demanding police reform. What needs to be done to make sure a bill can be agreed on by both sides, is passed and signed into law?
Well, most definitely we need the Senate to act, and you know that is one of 200 bills that is sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. That's actually a bipartisan bill. It was no small matter that we had all of the Democrats vote for that bill, and frankly, if it wasn't for the hundreds of thousands of people out protesting, I don't believe that would have happened. And we even got a few Republicans 2 days after Trump tweeted and told him not to do that. So we are working to get the Senate to bring it up, but at the same time, conversations are going on with Republicans. I'll tell you, I had never had an experience like that before, where my Republican colleagues in committee, when we were voting, talked about everything under the sun but the bill. And so I took that as a positive, and they came up to me afterwards and said, you know, Karen, I really think we can get somewhere on this issue. And I won't stop talking to people. I don't care who it is, but mainly talking to my Republican colleagues to see if there's something that we can do. I do have a relationship with Tim. We came in together before he went over to the Senate. And so I want to keep the conversations going. With a situation like this, as you know, it can take us 30 years or 30 days to come up with a bill. Now, we're only going to be in session for another couple of weeks, but there is still time for the Senate to act, or for Tim Scott to come up with a new bill that would be more, would be better for the Senate Democrats to vote on. I don't give up.
Congresswoman, we were talking earlier in the show about Congressman Yoho yelling at Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and the deep sexism that is not only in politics but still obviously permeates our culture. What do you think about that? You've obviously I'm sure have some experience with it, but why are we still living in a time when men still think that they have agency to say such things about women?
Well, I think they still struggle with who we are and our positions, and she's so high profile. I will tell you, the second that happened, I searched her out, went and talked to her immediately. All the women gathered around her, and we demanded that there be an apology. And so I know that Yoho apologized today. We don't think that's enough. We're not finished, but I want you to know that we all surrounded her immediately, as well as a number of the men. I do feel bad for my Republican colleagues, especially the Republican women, because, Megan, you know, there's only a handful of them. I mean, there's 199 Republicans, and there's about maybe 14 women. And so I'm doing legislation right now, bipartisan legislation, on women who are pregnant and incarcerated. And I went to the Republican women and had a really hard time getting them to be supportive of the bill. It was easier for me to get Republican men. And so I worry about what goes on in their caucus. Now, it broke out a little bit yesterday with Liz Cheney, but they especially are not used to dealing with women. And the Democratic side, you know, there's over 100 of us. And so the Democratic men, and we're led by Nancy Pelosi, so the dynamic on the Democratic side is a little different. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is a little different than what exists on the Republican side.
It's definitely a huge
At the end of the day, they're still men, right? They're still men. So we all have to deal with men. So, you know, Trump deployed federal troops to Portland the other day, Oregon, to control Black Lives Matter protesters. And just this week, he threatened to send troops to other cities like Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Oakland. Now, some people think that maybe this is a rehearsal for him on how he'll try to disrupt the election in November. He's already explicitly said he may not be willing to accept the results if he loses. How do you feel about that, and how can we stop him from continuously sending these troops into our cities for only disrupting it even further?
Well, the problem that we have is that he's a lawless president. I mean, we're going to have hearings about it in several different committees. He clearly wants to be an authoritarian leader. But I think when it comes to the results of the election, he can try not to leave, but our system just doesn't work that way. If he needs to be evicted, I have full confidence that he would be removed from that Oval Office.
Well, you know, it's going to be an exciting fall. That's all I can think. We thank you,
right.
Representative Karen Bass. It's good to see you again. And keep on fighting a good fight. We'll be right back.